Welcome to In Depth for a closer look at what is making mining headlines in the Americas. Canadian uranium miner Cameco expects to supply more uranium to China over time. It may even partner with Chinese groups on uranium exploration and mining projects. Mining Week's deputy editor for North America, Lizo, who is based in Toronto, Canada, joins me to discuss this issue. Welcome to the show, Lizo.
Thanks, Martin.
Lizo, just how important is China for Cameco and the uranium market?
It certainly is going to be a very important play in the market going forward. We've seen the uranium price, the spot price for uranium, move up very quickly since around mid-2010. We saw just in May 2010, the price was sitting at around $41 a pound. And since then, we've seen it move up to most recently some $73 a pound of uranium. So now, of course, the spot market for uranium is a bit of a strange beast. It's thinly traded. There can be an element of speculation, of course. But just generally, the sort of sentiment that we're seeing in uranium is a realization amongst utilities and the market in general that the number of nuclear reactors that are being constructed, as well as those that are still being planned, is going to put a strain on the supply of uranium, especially as we're seeing the above ground stocks of uranium, which play an important role in the overall supply picture, are of course being depleted. And so the market is going to rely increasingly, or more certainly than it does at the moment, on the primary sources, the mine supply of uranium. So according to Cameco, who just put out their fourth quarter results this week, they're expecting, or there were 65 new reactors under construction at the beginning of this year. Cameco says that by 2020, they're expecting there to be 104 new reactors coming into operation, and that's over and above the 441 reactors that are already in operation. And of those new reactors, this is according to Cameco, at least half are going to be in China. In fact, China alone is at the moment got more than 25 nuclear reactors under construction. So they certainly are going to play an important role in what the CEO of Cameco and others are calling this current nuclear renaissance globally at the moment.
Is Cameco supplying uranium to China already?
Yes, in fact, it's a relatively new situation. Cameco hadn't had any supply contracts with China until recently, but the group signed 2 long-term supply contracts with separate Chinese utilities last year. And the CEO Grandy says he expects that supply relationships should increase over time, especially as the Chinese needs increase. But another thing, interestingly, that he says is that there is potential for Cameco to partner with Chinese utilities and others, possibly in the actual exploration, development and mining of uranium. Obviously, nuclear utilities are very interested and very concerned to know that they have access to uranium that will fuel these reactors that are under construction, and not only looking in the short term but decades into the future. Otherwise they need to know that they can run these things, and so it makes sense that one of the first prizes for them is to have access and ownership in primary supply, and that's the uranium mines. So that certainly is something that Cameco can look at, possibly look at in the future. Of course, as Jerry Grandy says, there is sometimes a difficult to align the two parties' interests because Cameco is a publicly listed company, and so for them the focus is on the bottom line, while for these utilities and the countries that control them, the emphasis is on energy security. So sometimes it can be difficult to get the two together.
Cameco plans to double production by 2020. How will it do that?
That's right. Cameco plans to increase its production to 40 million pounds a year of uranium by 2020. And a large part of that, some 9 million tons a year, will be coming from the new Cigar Lake mine in Saskatchewan. That's the project that should really have been in production a while ago, but they had delays, they had issues with underground flooding, so the mine needed to be pumped out, leaks fixed, but now the construction is back underway, Cameco says that it expects to finish sinking the second shaft at Cigar Lake later this year, and the company will also start work, critical underground development work on the mine, and overall the project is scheduled to start production in 2013. And then beyond that, the remaining production increases that will take Cameco up to that 40 million pound level is it will come from expansions and projects spread across the company's portfolio in Kazakhstan, Australia, the US and Canada.
Thank you, Lizzo. That's the show for today. Join us again next week for more news and insight on mining in the Americas. I'm Martin Joaquin in Johannesburg.